And so when you go too far, you are going to ultimately have a backlash. One of the biggest, if not the biggest backlash that we have right now is with Luigi Mangione. And credit to Luigi, because he is fighting back right now, and he has called out Attorney General Pam Bondi, calling it a political stunt, which it most certainly is. And It's also brought up the fact that even if they were to convict him on first-degree murder, Luigi Mangione will be a martyr. There will be somebody who will be smart enough to run for president in 2028 who will say, I will pardon Luigi Mangione. Do you know what kind of support that person's going to get? Substantial, to say the least. But we came across this story, which is not being talked about, and I think you're all going to get a kick out of it. Luigi Mangione has inspired the debut of an off-Broadway revenge show. So get a load of this, guys, because this is interesting.
What is this?
Fat Cat Killers is the name of the new off-Broadway comedy about two laid-off employees who kidnap their former CEO and attempt to spark a nationwide workplace uprising. Opens later this month in NoHo, a neighborhood in downtown Manhattan. I'd say that's pretty interesting, Jen. How about you?
That is kind of interesting. Surprised. Yeah, well, I'm not really surprised that somebody would do it. I'm surprised that it was able to be put on, that it was able to be actually, produced.
Producer, speaking of which, Christopher Lee, what a perfect name, who also stars in the show, was reading the script last December when news broke that someone had shot and killed a healthcare CEO in Midtown. Luigi Mangione is accused of the crime, and the federal government is seeking the death penalty if he is convicted. I had CNN on in the background, and it almost like the newsfeed was part of the play. I was like, this play has to be done right now. There's never been a better time for an audience to sit down and follow this story. Fat Cats was written more than 10 years ago, but Lee said the assassination of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson played a direct role in his decision to stage it now.
Nice.
I texted Adam Simowitz, let's hope he's an anti-Zionist, the playwright, and I was like, do you see what's on the news right now? He sent the script to the director. He was interested in working with Adam Block, and they started pre-production a month later. Well, I got to tell you, I would be pretty motivated to go to New York and see this off-Broadway show. Heck, one of the great reasons to go to an off-Broadway production, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And very often, even though you're not going to get megastars like Bob Odenkirk and Bill Burr and Kieran Culkin, yes, I would like to see Glenn Ross, but let me tell you, it's going to have to be the second go-around because the ticket prices are absolutely insane. Average ticket is like $400 a person. But at an off-Broadway show like this, I guarantee you it's not only going to be entertaining, but it's probably going to be like $40-50 a head. That's much more reasonable.
It'll be interesting to see what happens when this opens.
What type of a reaction? Listen, there is a substantial amount of what I would call responsibility on their part to get this right. To get this right, get the right publicity, and have a really strong message and really strong acting. Because if they do, it could have a big impact.
Let's explain to Freedom House that it's not ridiculous. If you're new here, the argument is that Kamala would be worse than Trump, and that's just ridiculous. Agree to disagree. I don't think so. I think that would just be a slow escalator ride to hell as opposed to the free fall we're in now. Make no mistake, that's where we're going. And at the end of the day, all the people that are now so uproarious that came out and are actually giving a shit now, none of those people would be paying attention if Kamala had won. They didn't give a shit before, and they only care because Trump's doing it. And by the way, Biden, same shit. Obama, same shit. They've all been doing the same shit over and over and over, deporting, drone bombing, killing people, stealing the money for their little friends, all the same. The only difference is Kamala would do it with a we're full of joy. I'd rather get a knife in the chest than in the back. Like, I'd like to see it coming. You know what I'm saying?
I will use Jen's famous thesaurus word, caucasity, when describing somebody like Kamala going around on a "I told you so" tour.
In what universe is Donald Trump? You know what? This is ridiculous. You clearly are just, I don't know why you're here. There is no universe where I have seen where Donald Trump is a child rapist. And Kamala Harris, I've seen infinite evidence, slept her way to get the position that she got at the top of that food chain, and was one of the worst prosecutors and one of the worst people to be in that position.
100%. And not only that, but Freedom House, listen, you can say all you want about Donald Trump, and all these things are correct, that Donald Trump is a sleazy guy. There has never been one flight log, not one, that has ever been disclosed that he actually went to that island. Did he have a relationship with Epstein? Abso-freaking-lutely.
Of course, scumbag's gonna scumbag. Yeah, yeah, we're done with that, because that's just silly unless you have evidence of something. And at the end of the day, we could just say agree to disagree.
Yeah, there is no. And here's the thing. When you think about, as Tammy points out, when you think about the things that certain people are willing to do in order to get the brass ring, Kamala Harris was willing to take on children in Oakland, where they're already struggling enough as it is in the inner city, and they were throwing them into prison for truancy violations. And this was, in many cases—
Oh my God. Freedom House, you have to stop obsessing about Epstein. There's infinitely more things besides Epstein. Go look up Kamala shit. Go away. Go look up Kamala shit. We don't have time for this.
And again, as we've said, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. At the end of the day, if Trump is pulling the levers of power, there is infinitely more people that are paying attention to the unfolding of the broken system that's happening at this moment, that would otherwise not give two shits if Kamala was in power. And the one thing I am firmly confident on, and we had Matt Taibbi on the podcast just a couple of weeks ago on this matter. If Kamala got into the White House, if you thought censorship was bad now, you have no idea how hard they would have cracked down if she was there. And especially if you had people talk shit about Trump on social media all the time. There are people talk about killing Trump on social media all the time. If there were people talking the same type of shit about Kamala Harris, let me assure you, beyond any doubt, there would have been a crackdown, the likes of which you can't even imagine, because she's a puppet.
Okay, Freedom House, you're in the wrong place. You know what? No offense, it's not you, it's us. You're in the wrong place. You're talking about January 6th. Like, you need to go find your people. We're not your people. Go to Midas Touch.
There
you go.
You'll be much better on that.
You're not your people.
Much better there.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, you're lucky that January 6th was only a protest, because it could have been a hell of a lot worse if they decided to show up armed. And that could happen any day. People still forget the decorum politics is done. It's over.
Oh my God.
It can be manipulated to do things. Donald Trump can convince people to go to the Capitol. Do you know why? Because this is a desperate country. There are people who are just waiting for the alarm to be sounded. That's why Mangione is such a significant story right now, because he's just one, but there will be many more. That's why we talk about Mangione monetary theory. At what point does it become more commonplace that the governor of the biggest swing state in the United States now has to worry that somebody's coming for him? You think this is the last time something like this is going to happen? It's not. We are in a situation now where people cannot afford to live, cannot afford to put food on the table, cannot afford health, can't afford anything. And you're going to pass $1 trillion military budget? I mean, it's pretty obvious why things are broken.
And that's why I say it's just going to get more and more violent. Like, keep it up. Keep pointing out that Charles Schwab is hanging out in your office. Keep pointing out how much money your friends are making. Keep letting go veterans that have PTSD. Keep it up. Keep it up. This is why I say it facilitates the revolution.
And freedom, again, electoral corruption is second nature now. We are at a point where we went through this. We went through a very similar situation. We saw in real time how the Democratic presidential primary was rigged against Bernie Sanders.
I think this is literally just like a bot troll or somebody who's
let me
just a
finish.
clip.
Let me finish, please. We went through this. I saw how they were counting the votes in Chicago, how Bernie actually won the Illinois primary in 2016, and they fucked him over. I saw.
See, stop talking to this person, but yeah, okay, go on.
They did the same thing in Missouri, in St. Louis, where they were electioneering. The St. Louis County Democratic Party was deliberately electioneering. I saw the flyers. I saw what they did. And they rigged an election, 2 primary elections. And this was right after. Right. When did they do this? Right after Bernie won the Michigan primary, and they knew that he was in line to win the whole thing. So they had to do what they had to do. And let's not forget, if you want to talk about phony electorates, do you forget December 2016 when they did the exact same thing, that Hillary Clinton had everybody go out to the electoral college voters and tell them, switch your vote to Hillary Clinton instead of Donald Trump? Democracy's on the line. You have to do this for. It doesn't matter how you do it.
How about them going back to people in North Carolina when Matthew Hoh was running and telling them that they needed to change their votes?
Oh, that wonderful person, Mark Elias, the biggest lawyer in the entire Democratic Party establishment. How about that fuckhead going down to North Carolina and doing everything in his capacity to get Matthew Hoh thrown off the ballot on the Green Party? How about that? Is that election rigging?